How's everyone doing today? Like my lights got brighter over here. One shining on this wall. Just trying to get that set up, but I guess I didn't quite finish it before I went live. I don't know if that's even changing it. Oh, there we go. No. But yeah, what's everyone doing tonight? How's everyone feeling? As always, we got all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the Pokemon space. Self in my ear. I planned on talking about, as always, whatever people want to talk about. It is a choose your own adventure. These live chats, the chat will guide me sometimes down dark places. Sometimes we got my thumbnail guy jumping in the chat, but we'll see. We'll see where we end up. To start the video, I guess I'll just do a little bit of shameless self promo as I get my music going. I do actually have in the background. It is currently on second intermission. The boys in blue, the blue shirts, the New York Hockey Rangers, are up 2-0 to the Washington Capitals, and through 2 periods, they're up 3-1. So that is going very well. I just need to make sure, yep, the audio is not coming through to you. Don't want to be getting copyright claimed by those 90s country artists. But yeah, we'll see if my stream, my T-Mobile can handle watching a Rangers stream and also streaming. I think it can. T-Mobile home internet is doing well lately. But yeah, a little bit of self promo, I guess, which I started on and then I veered down a different direction. Always buying at 80% plus, depending. I'm not buying anything at 80%. Sometimes there's caveats, sometimes there's quantity capacities, but the main things I target are liquid Pokemon cards. I'm not buying Metazoo at 80%, even 80% of the small number it is. Liquid gradable, like near mint plus, ultra modern stuff is ideal. I mean, if you've got near mint WotC, if you've got near mint mid era, I would buy that as well. But what I pay is a function of liquidity, right? So moderner, betterer, especially when it comes to liquidity. But I picked up these boxes recently. I got Unified Minds, Cosmic Eclipse, Ultra Prism, Unbroken. If it's Sun and Moon, XY, I mean, I would buy boxes all the way back to base set. If you're talking EX era boxes, if you're talking e-reader boxes, those are less likely my specialty. I don't quite have a big enough channel to be able to break those. I am prepping some eBay live inventory though for when that happens. It could happen at any time. I'm just waiting for the right time. So yeah, the main things I'm after are like case quantity. If we're talking Sword and Shield, I guess exception being like Evolving Skies. I mean, I would buy a case of Evolving Skies. I've made some offers on it. No one's really wanting to sell. Everyone's diamond handing it. But if you've got Sword and Shield era to Scarlet and Violet era, I'm looking for cases. I don't really want loose boxes of Obsidian Flames. I don't really want loose boxes of for the right price. But I guess I'll probably dip below 80% if you've got loose boxes of things that I can get at my distributor by the case. But if you're talking Sun and Moon, I've bought some cases in the past couple weeks since I've been talking about all this so much. But yeah, the main thing I'm doing. Oh, Dan's investing now. I'm doing what I've always done. It's just eBay Vault is coming to a close, and eBay Live is on the horizon. A big part of what I'm investing in, some of it to set away long term, but also a large portion of it I just want to have ready. I want to have ready on deck, on queue. If I start getting 2, 3, 4, 10.99 streamers, I want to be able to just chuck them a bunch of shipments and have them ready to go for weeks and months of streams without having to go too frantically trying to source. So yeah, if you have, and then same thing, the time is really winding down with the eBay Vault. I don't know how long it has. I'm playing a little bit risky maybe with the deadline. I've spent $80,000 in the past couple weeks on buying collections of high-end slabs. What I would have bought probably, I mean, ideally I would have consigned for you between 96 to 99%, but I had been buying, I don't know why my sub count's not showing. Let me see if I can fix that. I had been buying high-end slabs anywhere between 80 to 90%. Oftentimes, if it was alt arts, if it was like Japanese promos, I was buying them really close to 90%. I mean, sometimes even rounded up a little bit beyond 90%. What I'm buying now, I mean, rule of thumb, let's say 80% for anything high end, $500 plus, like eBay, $250 plus, eBay Vault eligible. But it'll be case by case. It'll be if you're hitting me with like a little bit more niche stuff. If you're hitting me based off a single comp that just happened on eBay that's 30% higher than the prior comp before that, there's always context needed, right? There's always context needed. But yeah, let me verify what I put in my title. Let me see if I can get our. Oh yeah, this thing's broken. For whatever reason, the Social Blade plugin on YouTube is broken, so it doesn't even show my sub count. I think my sub count's up to 4,970 though. It's really close to 5,000. Not that we're gonna get to 5,000 tonight, but yeah, I wanted to do that little bit of self promo. If you're looking to buy, hit me. Or sorry, if you're looking to sell, hit me up. If you're looking to buy, the eBay's there. My eBay sales have really slowed down lately, just because I don't have a whole lot left. Like I have consignor cards trickling out. I have a decent amount of eBay Vault items of my own that I guess I'll be deciding whether or not I auction. Some amount of them I'll auction in the coming weeks. Not usually a big auction guy, but in the face of this unknown future, any of my highly liquid stuff that I feel like will do well at auction, I'll probably end up auctioning it. But yeah, feel free to reach out if you're looking to sell slabs, singles, and sealed. I buy it all. I buy it all for the right price. I also see retro specs. We got the wrench in here. Hit the like button, folks. Appreciate you. I will say, I think I had it in my title. Let me verify what I made my title. I already forgot. Always buying 80+%. Japanese 151 reprint. As always, leave your questions in the chat. I will get to them eventually. I saw someone talk about I see some troll. I see some trolls in the chat trying to catch me slipping, but shout out to Hugh. I will shout out Hugh for you, Timo. I will stop at Hugh. Yeah, we got retro in the chat. In the title, I also have Japanese 151 reprint. Reach out to Retro Specs. So I am working with Retro very closely. He is my Japanese supplier. I have some other ones, but he's the primary. I guess if I ever have the desire to make a massive order that he can't fully fulfill, I guess I might go to my secondary, tertiary. But as of the past few weeks, he's been my sole Japanese supplier. Every time I quote everyone against each other, like don't just blindly trust him. Go quote your Instagram Japanese suppliers. Go quote other people and quote Retro as well. Maybe tell him Dan sent you. There's no formal agreement there, but I'm trying to help push Retro up, get his Japanese wholesale business going. Because as of right now, it's going very well. He's been able to supply me with well into the 5 figures worth of product over the past few weeks. I know he's doing story sales on Instagram. Be sure to follow him on Instagram. He's got good access, better access than I have. The time to find and seek out all those Japanese websites that I can't even read all the letters on them. So hit up Retro if you're looking for any Japanese sourcing, because that's what I've been doing. Time is valuable, and expertise is valuable too. Expertise is valuable. Not getting. I actually just bought. I have a couple stamp collection boxes that I just broke down from our favorite B word website from Bai. I bought like 8 of them recently, and I'm probably gonna go for some black labels. We'll see. We'll see if any look clean enough for that. I must have bought some. I mean, I do look at the description. I read it all. I bought some that were like bait and switch. They didn't send the cards. So I must have, probably out of the 8 that I bought, I think 2 of them just didn't have the cards in them. So I got scammed on by. There's no recourse for that. He will be the man on the front lines sourcing for you. If he takes any L's, he'll tank them on the front end. He will fulfill your orders, 100% order fulfillment over the craze that was the past couple of weeks of Japanese 151. So there's my self promo on the front end. There's the Retro promo in the middle. Not sponsored. I'm just a happy customer. I shout out eBay all the time. I'm not sponsored. I shout out all these different. I talk about PSA, CGC, BGS. I talk about all these companies. Retro's an up and coming Japanese sourcing company. I'm utilizing his service. I'm not being paid for this promotion, but I am shouting him out. Hello, fellow Poke Scholars. We got Kai is hyped. Professor Oak is ready when you are. If you're looking for a good podcast, shout out Professor Oak. He's got a nice thing going on over there with the Green Shiz. Nice, I think they call it weekly, but it's maybe a little bit more close to monthly lately. Nice monthly podcast over there. Thoughts on Quaxley's role in Pokemon Horizons? Did I watch Pokemon Horizons? I don't think I did. I need to watch that still. I know Retro, another podcast, Cardboard Hands, Retro and Josh were talking about Pokemon Concierge. That was on in the background while my kids were going nuts, playing with the kids, whatever. I don't remember what happened, but I guess I need to actually go and watch that because I didn't really give it any chance. It was just on. I kind of saw some of what was happening, but I have no idea what happened in Pokemon Concierge. So Concierge and Horizons I need to watch. What's good, Cash Grabbers? Let's see some emotes in the chat. Got Skya throwing the fire. Closing in on 1 minute late, Dan. Hope I'm getting compensated for this. So the way that I interpret 9 p.m., I interpret 9 p.m. as long as I go live before that thing goes to 9:01. So 9:00, 59 seconds, I am on time. And as far as I know, I clicked that live button before it said 01. So I think I was on time. Thanks, Ponga, for stopping in. Usually I don't do Fridays. The reason I'm doing Friday tonight, it feels so weird to say that it's Friday. But I went to an indoor water park. If anyone is familiar with New York, if anyone is familiar with Lake George, I went to the Rangers. There's a delay because the Rangers must have boarded the Capitol so hard that they broke the glass. So there's a slight delay in the Rangers game right now, I see. But anyways, yeah, Tuesday to Thursday, I did a nice little family trip. Midweek, it just throws everything off. Like that feels like a weekend thing. So now I feel like it's Monday, but it's Friday. Talking about the weekend, we got a bunch of plans this weekend, couple parties to go to, and I'm all my clock is all thrown off. We need Dark Side Dan tonight. I have the app handy here. These lights could go red if needed at any time. Oh, it was actually a ranger that got hit into the glass and broke it. iPhone was pre-grading. Nice to see you, Fernando, Robert, iPhomo. Comment K's sorting through some vintage. We got Drew P. Nice to see you in here. Is this the Old Skool Pokemon eBay Live? That was fun. I guess I can talk about that. I haven't finished listening to PK's live yet. I'll be surprised if he doesn't do an emergency live tonight. So he went live last night for his normal weekly Thursday live, and he talked about how he was wrong saying Lost Origin and Brilliant Stars and whatever other sets would be sold out on Pokemon Center. And then like maybe hours after he finished his live, Lost Origin sold out on Pokemon Center. I'm going to actually search it really quickly on my end just to make sure it actually is still sold out. But yeah, Lost Origin. I believe it is. So I figured he'd do an emergency live to say that he was wrong about being wrong, that he was actually right. But yeah, Lost Origin for now. And I did, where'd that comment go? It's got to be coming soon. Yeah, Bruce City, TCG says Lost Origin. So if you didn't know, Lost Origin is now sold out on Pokemon Center. I'm going to look up really quickly what it's doing on TCG Player. It's always funny. It's like... It's like, let me see what it's going for right now. So yeah, the sales on Lost Origin today, I guess they were all higher. They were all higher than, there's not a crazy amount of sales, but there's a handful of sales. Maybe there's more case sales too, but how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's only been 9 boxes sold, but they've been sold anywhere between 180 and 190 on Lost Origin on TCG Player. It's the same set it was. It's the same set it was 2 weeks ago. I guess in some ways the fundamentals have changed slightly because its lowest listing that had unknown depth of quantity is now gone. Same thing goes with 151. Like, if anything, the fundamentals of 151 have gotten slightly worse, right? And the prices have come down. But to me, because it's being reprinted. Like, before we didn't know if it was being reprinted, but now we know 151 Japanese is being reprinted. So the fundamentals, if anything, have changed slightly. Like, the set hasn't changed, though. Long term, I still feel like it's a great set. What were the boxes going for? 150, 160, 180? and now you're able to get them for like 80 bucks. I mean, hit it Retro. I don't know what Retro's doing on cases right now, but I know he's been spending a lot of the money I sent him. Let me see if he has an active story right now. But yeah, generally speaking, when the price goes down, I want something more. When the price goes up, I'm more prone to sell than buy. But a lot of times the market, not even just the Pokemon market, same thing goes for the stock market. There are so many studies out there. There's so much depth of data in traditional investments. One thing that I really love about traditional investments, there's so much data out there. And in a 30-year span where the indexes do X% and this and that, there's so many studies about how the average retail trader underperforms the indexes by several percent because they buy high and they sell low. They try timing the market and they time it very poorly, very emotionally. They just do things on a whim. It's not just in traditional investments, and it's not just in Pokemon. Garen says, still using my home address on my eBay. Never really thought about it much, but should I be using a P.O. box? A P.O. box, actually, I'm going to reach into my garbage here behind me. Very, very sad day in the Catch 'em All office. My Dymo 4XL finally died. I spent, so probably like 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, it stopped sensing paper. And I found some website. I bought these, they're made to clean. They're like ethanol or IPA things that are made to clean credit card readers. But basically, I was just cleaning a thing on this that senses where the paper is. And it worked for like 6 months after doing that. And then it stopped working. And then I cleaned it again, and maybe it worked for a few months. And then I cleaned it again, and it worked for a month. And then I cleaned it again, and it worked for a week. And then I needed to clean it every day. So something in my Dymo died. Maybe I could have tore it apart. 10 years ago, Dan would have tore that thing apart. I would have been deeper in YouTube on how to replace XY sensor on a Dymo 4XL. I didn't want to do that much with it, so I bought a new label printer. I did not go Dymo this time. That was a couple $100 for the amount of time that I had it, for the amount of labels that went through it. Felt fairly reasonable. But I went with one of the cheaper ones just to try them. I think I spent $100. What's it called? It's a Jaden's. It's a Jaden's. If you search on Amazon, I'll have to update my affiliate link on my website. But so far, a couple days of service, it's been going very well. Where I was going to with that long rant, if you have $200 to spend for your hobby, side hustle, business, whatever it is, two of the most plus EV things you can possibly buy. A nice thing about a label printer, obviously you got to feed it with labels, but you don't have to buy toner, you don't have to buy ink. So there is the added label cost as you go. But a label printer would be like top 5, and a P.O. box would be like top 5. P.O. box, you get the security, the anonymity to some extent. You're not doxing yourself every time you ship something or every time you buy something. You have, when you go to a water park from Tuesday to Thursday in a given week, your things aren't chilling in your mailbox. Your things aren't chilling on your front porch. They're safe and secure at your local P.O., your local post office, ready for you to pick them up when you're ready. So yeah, obviously the more you ship, it's one of those things where it's like, it's a fixed cost. And I personally, I buy the small size because I get huge shipments all the time. I get huge boxes that wouldn't even fit in the biggest box. I think in my post office, I think the smallest box is like 60. Your mileage may vary. If you're in a big city, the smallest one might be like a couple $100 or whatever. But I think mine's like 60 or 70 for the year. And if I go to the biggest one, which is probably like 8 times bigger than the smallest, it's probably like $250 a year or something. I get packages that don't fit in the bigger one though. And my post office is so small. The last post office I had in Rome, New York, they had like a locker that if it didn't fit in your P.O. box, they'd put a key in your P.O. box and they'd put the package in a locker. But then still, I was getting packages that were bigger than the locker fit. So there's no like permanent thing. I recommend paying for the small size P.O. box. They'll leave a slip in, you take it to the counter. Now, if I lived in a big city, and if 90% of my packages would fit in the biggest size box, and if I could skip a 30-minute line every time I had to get something, I would then pay for a bigger one. But since I go to such a small backwoods post office, and there's never a line, they leave a slip. I go inside, boom, boom. I've got my bin for the next day. I've got my my stuff to go. There's no sense paying the extra couple $100 for that big size. So P.O. boxes and label printers. Invest now. How's it going, Beerski? Nice to see you. Ancient Mew. I won't be able to make the Beerski Palooza. Very unfortunately, I've not yet watched the live where you discuss the details of Beerski Palooza, but it sounds like it'll be a blast. How's it going, Arthur? Are the 2023 to 2024 Rangers going to be the 9th team to win both the President's Trophy and the Stanley Cup? I don't know who the last one to do it was, but I know 30 years ago. So for anyone who doesn't know, there's 30 teams. NFL has 32. I believe, how many teams are in the MLB? Is it 30? Let me see. How many teams in MLB? MLB has 30 as well. So MLB and NHL have 30. Or wait, does the NHL? The NHL does have 32 now because they added the Vegas Knights and they added, who else they add? Anyways, I was gonna say it's been 30 years. The Rangers are due because there's 30 teams in the NHL, but the Rangers are still due. The Rangers are still due because most of the time of those 30 years was there 30 teams in the league. But yeah, I'm very bullish. I think Vegas, and Vegas doesn't reflect the true odds of something happening. Vegas reflects the betting public's perception of what's going to happen. I checked today. As of futures betting, I think the Hurricanes are number 1 favored at plus 360. The Rangers are like plus 700. And I forget who's second. Probably Florida. Probably Florida Panthers are second. Or maybe, I don't know who else it would be. But I think the Rangers are going to do it this year. I have maybe $100 out on them. 100 to win 1,000 approximately. I did most of my betting between when they were about plus 900 to plus 1,000. So I've got about 100 out to win 1,000 or so. I just scrolled all the way to the bottom. Here we go. I'm coming back. Almost at 5K. Sheesh, we're getting there. It's been a slow grind, 3 years plus. But the comment K says, still listing daily. I've not listed daily this whole year. I list very sporadically. At some point, I might get back into it, but I feel like I'm leaning away from it. I saw benefits. I think the biggest benefits you see are that you're getting new inventory. Like if I were to list 1,000 today versus 10 a day for the next 100 days, I think I would get more sales in the next 100 days. So here's the A and B. If I have 1,000 items to list for the end of the year, through the end of the year, if I did 10 a day for 100 days versus 1,000 in day one, I think over the remainder of the year, I would sell more because I would have like a higher amount listed. So one thing I think some people do, and I was doing myself to some extent, intentionally withholding inventory from eBay just to please the algorithm over like that smooth curve. I think that's missing the mark some. I think when I was doing that, I was missing the mark some. And I think overall, you're better off listing it when you have it. In a perfect world, you're getting things really regularly, and you can kind of make that happen without intentionally withholding anything too much. But say you're not looking at just 1,000 items between now and the end of the year. Say you're looking at 1,000 items a year every year for the next 20 years. 3 a day probably beats listing 1,000 items on January 1st. But I think if you're going very far out of your way to make sure that you have stuff for every day, like one, if you're listing bad stuff, like say you maybe only have 3 items a day, but you're forcing it up to 5 and you're listing really bad stuff, that's not helping anything because eBay's just seeing a bunch of low sell-through stuff. And if eBay is putting your item in front of a buyer's eyes and they're not clicking, or if they're clicking and they're not converting to a sale with high numbers, eBay is going to be less likely to feed your items overall. So whatever the number is, whatever the frequency is, I think focus more on high quality items that are just going to have a high click through, high sell through. And whatever frequency that is, at least that's the way that I'm going to take it. That's the way I'm going to take it moving ahead. Where possible, maybe when I get back to days, like right now it's been extra tough. All the craze of the eBay vault, some of the really, really busy with some of these buys I've been doing lately, quoting out a lot of collections. I actually have to quote out a few more big collections tonight that I might be buying. But yeah, we'll see. But as of January 1st, I did it from January 1st to December 31st, 2023, and then I've been terrible. I will actually be doing like 100 tomorrow night because I saw that some of mine just got titles, some of my vault submissions. I won't be able to get to them tonight with this live stream. I will be ending this live stream at about an hour and 50 minutes, just because I have a call I have to do at 11 p.m. So I have a firm end time tonight, unlike most nights. But yeah, let's see. Beerski's doing well. I'm doing very well also. What's better, 151 or Celebrations? Better. I think they're both really good. I like them both a lot. When Celebrations gave us how you can never have too many base set Charizard reprints. So Celebrations gave us a base set Charizard reprint. Seriously though, one thing I loved about Celebrations was the last set that I pulled the entire set myself, and that might be the case maybe forever. That might be the case for either a very long time or maybe forever. So Celebrations, I was able to master set myself just by opening packs, and 151, you have all of Kanto in one set for the first time ever. So that's kind of like a historic thing, right? Back in the day, why is there only 102 cards in base set when Kanto region, when my Pokemon Yellow game has 150 Pokemon? So to get all 151 in one set was really, really cool. I don't know that I'd call either one better. They're both really, really good. I guess 151 is newer though, so newer, better, moderner, better. Can we get a confirmed contact method for Retro? Instagram. Retro, feel free to plug your own Instagram link. I know I'm like 20 minutes late reading this comment, but yeah, feel free to link your Instagram, Retro. I do have it linked. I thought ahead. I linked it in the description of this video. I was about to say that I know I linked it soon, or I linked it in some video recently. It's linked in this description, so feel free to click that link in the description, give Retro a follow, and feel free to hit him up for Japanese. Buying collections, buying inventories, buying investments, whatever you want to call it, I'm buying at 80%. But again, I'm not buying everything at 80%, and I'm buying some stuff at higher. I'm buying some stuff at higher. I said before, 80 to 95%. Most of the stuff that I was targeting at 95% is pretty much out now. I have plans getting more into the summer, more into when the eBay Live is actually running. I plan to have buy lists that I just post periodically. Like, hey, I know TCG Player does like articles. Hey, these are the singles that we need. I know, like, Troll and Toad has a buy list. These are the items we really need. We can't keep them in stock. We're flying through them. I will get to the point where my website has like a buy list of, hey, I am thin on 151 loose packs. I will buy UPCs for this. I'll buy ETBs for this. I'll buy loose packs for this. I'm thin on all Sword and Shield era booster boxes, booster cases. Here's what I'm paying. And I hope I can pull in like just based off a percentage. Here's the live price of TCG Player. Pull that in, multiply it by 0.9, 0.8, point whatever. And yeah, hopefully we'll get that up and running within the next month or two. I don't know exactly when that will be. Do you recommend collecting PSA 9s when the PSA 10 price is unjustifiable? 709 to 6,010. So when you say collecting, if this is purely collecting, collect what brings you most value. So years back, I was a PSA 9 collector. PSA 9s brought me the most value. I did not have the capital. Still, I do not have the money to collect 10s. I have some 10s that were gifted to me. I have some 10s that are meaningful to me, that I graded myself, I pulled myself, whatever it may be. But overall, I feel like I find the most value today in an LP raw card. Like so much of grading. I mean, well, I will say, I will add to that. There are certain cards where PSA 9s, even PSA 10s at time, can be had cheaper at auction than the raw near mint card is on TCG Player. Or raw near mint is on eBay. So it all depends on the card. It's so... But if it's purely collecting, it's 100% up to you. What brings you the most value? I feel like this question has a what's the future value going to do tinge to it. Not surprisingly. When I collected 9s in the past, I always felt like 9s were undervalued relative to 10s. But you just never know how that's going to pan out, right? You never know how that's going to pan out. Not only do you not know how PSA 9 versus PSA 10 is going to pan out, you don't know how CGC, BGS, TAG, XYZ, ABC. You don't know how all these other companies are going to pan out. I've always found the most value in buying cards and grading them myself. I never have understood the grading premium. I genuinely understand PSA 9s being less than the grading price. I understand 10s being less than the grading price for certain things. Because certain things, more of them there might be a day, there might be a time where more things got encapsulated, more things got graded than there are collectors for that item. Like that could be a thing. I don't really put any kind of a premium on a slab as a collector anymore these days. Minuscule maybe, some amount, but I would rather just buy raw. Grading has gotten so far gone for me. It just doesn't do it for me. Who remembers when Dan got lucky on one BGS sub and acted like black labels were easy and then got wrecked from there on out? I've been selling black, like, not too frequently over this winter because I've not been grading much of anything. I actively have black labels out with, not black labels. I actively have cards out with BGS right now. That one video that I made probably had the highest black label rate, but I had subsequent submissions, subsequent returns that had quite a few more. It's all just math, right? It's all just math. Look at the black label rates, pre-grade, and a lot of them are plus EV. A lot of them are/were plus EV. What is 001 SVP doing? What is, I don't know exactly. I know what the Nagas were doing because I found a bunch in my vault. I forgot I had them stashed in the back of my eBay vault, apparently. And I just listed like 20 of them. And a lot of them sold really quickly. So I have more Nagawas going to BGS. We'll see how I do. Lost Origin sold out on PC. We did cover that briefly. Thoughts? Oh, so he's asking retro, but thoughts on the Yokohama deck Pikachu EX? To me, it's the last couple of weeks I've bought only Japanese 151 restock, and these Pikachus at 23k yen in PSA 10 and 12 to 13k yen raw on Mercari. So looking at those numbers, 12 to 13,000 yen raw on Mercari, with how easy that card is to grade likely, I feel like that's your value right there. I mean, grade the 10s yourself, but there's very few Pokemon cards that I see that feel undervalued. Definitely things undervalued relative to other cards, but like broadly undervalued, like invest now, I don't see a whole lot. I buy low, sell high, immediately flipping, generally speaking. Subscribe, bro. You're being more than fair at buying prices, unlike the A-list PokeTubers. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna hit some with some honesty here. If I had a massive platform and I could go broke buying collections at 65%, I would do that. I mean, it's not unreasonable. Like if I were PokeRev, and I don't think PokeRev even advertises that he's buying in his videos or anything like that. But if I like say my cash flow, whatever my cash flow number is, if I could spend less and get the same amount of money, same amount of product, I would do that. I buy at 80% because it's competitive. It gets me approximately the amount of product that I want to buy. But if I could buy at 75%, like I would, right? I'm not really trying to do it to be like a nice guy or anything. It's just feels like a reasonable number, and I do buy less at times, right? If a buy it now listing comes up on eBay, if the right opportunity comes along, and if somebody hits me with a $500,000, this is what I have, I'm gonna come down some amount. One thing that happens in Pokemon, and I guess this is relevant for Japanese 151 too, which is another topic of tonight's live. But as you buy more, so same thing. Well, as you buy more, a lot of times the price goes up. But as you sell more, this is almost counterproductive. Depending on what you have, as you sell more, you kind of expect to get less for it. It's a lot more work, whatever it may be. Like that massive collection that I bought a year and a half ago, that $50,000 binding collection. That was an insane amount of work. I guess that's not really as related. As you sell more, generally the price goes down, especially when it's very obtainable. Like if you're trying to sell 100 cases of a set that's available at distribution. I mean, if I call it by distributor and offer to buy 100 cases, they will sell for less. But with something as restricted as like Japanese, we're not tapped in to the main market. And say like, I'm not saying this is happening, but say in English, Evolving Skies reprint were to come, and my distributor is offering me X amount of boxes at like 200 a piece, 220. That's probably what they do, 150 to 200 a piece. Well, depending on how many it was, maybe they'd offer it 600 bucks a piece, and the price wouldn't go down at all if it were only a case to me or something. But Japanese 151. If you want to go, say someone in a Discord says, "Oh, I just found one at 60 bucks. Just found one at 70 bucks. Just found one at 75 bucks." You can't just action on that quantity 1,000. Just because one person can find one at a given price. Same thing goes for like, these are not my cards, but these are consignor cards in front of me. Say you're looking to buy some high-end slabs and stuff. You might be able to get a lucky auction for a card like this. I think I sold this most recently for $3,200 on behalf of a consignor. You might be able to find a one-off auction, maybe a one-off person that's willing to sell at 80 to 90%, 27, 2,800, 2,900. You can't just action like, I want to buy 100 of these at 2,700 bucks. Like, that's not a thing, right? Oftentimes, especially with the more restricted items, as quantity goes up, price goes up too. So I don't even know how I got exactly into that little rant there, but we did it. We did it. Let's see. Cheapest Lost Origin case on TCG players at 1,600. Wow, 1,600. That's crazy. That's what's that work out to? 260 a box ish. Astral sold out too. Retro says, I'll be doing a weekend sale on cases on multiple sets. We'll post to my story soon. I'm still 20 minutes behind. Let's see. S&P 500 versus Evolving Skies. I will make a video. I will make a video that kind of shows you the same thing I always say. Same arena, different game, different rules. There are people that would have made more money in the past 2 years putting money into the S&P 500 than putting it into Evolving Skies. Like, if you look at percentage-wise, that makes no sense. How could that happen? I will show you how it could happen. I've talked about it before, but I'll make a sole video devoted to it because absolutely people want that, right? I don't have that near me, but P.O. boxes at UPS where you can receive UPS, USPS, and FedEx, those are great. Any plans on selling sealed Japanese boxes on your eBay, Dan? I do have Shiny Treasure. I do have V-Star, and I will have 151 soon on my eBay. So yeah, definitely look out. Those will be boxes sourced by Retrospecs and fulfilled by Retrospecs through the Catch 'em All Collectibles eBay. So that is another thing that is in the works on top of eBay Live, on top of all this. I have I have a little bit of a partnership going on with Retrospecs, and we will be looking to supply high quantities of high quality sets to eBay. Japanese sealed modern product. When will we be able to trade in our KA promos for a share of SPY? Oh man, I feel like I'd be violating some securities laws with making that exchange available. I probably should have looked. I was so mad. I was so mad at my Dymo that I just went out and I just ordered something really quickly. And I'll probably put like a little more time into it. I'll probably buy a backup, to be honest. A label printer. So actually what I have is a backup. I have a laser printer and I have these are sticky. So these are sticky 8.5 by 11 sheets so that I didn't have to like tape labels on. I actually forgot I had these for a day. So for one day I taped labels on and that was miserable. For the next day I printed on 8.5 by 11 on my laser printer. That is a decent fallback, but I feel like a label printer I should just probably have a secondary. If you like Japanese 151 before the reprint, you'll love it after the reprint. Signed, Jeff Skilling and Ron CEO. Rollo changed my life. I used a cheap Amazon printer and it was solid, but occasionally jammed. If this thing starts jamming, if this thing starts having issues, I'll probably throw it in the trash and buy a Rollo if it's been doing that well. But the Jaden was reviewed really, really well, so hopefully it works out well for me. Hi, Dan. If someone pays you out for a card that never sold, is this an appropriate time to exit, or would you wait for something bigger? So yeah, Kai refers to. I didn't even realize it had happened, but one thing that is annoying as a primary buy it now consigner, I accidentally paid Kai out for an auction that was never paid. So I guess I took ownership of a card that I do not want ownership of. I offered him the ability to buy it back for what he netted in payout, and I don't think he wants it back. I'll have to double check his DMs to see if he wants that back. But yeah, I am used to when it says paid, sold. When it says sold, I'm used to it being sold and paid. So I just pay people out via buy it now consignments. But it doesn't work as well with auctions when some amount of those don't get paid. Walking back the listing daily, WTF, this man has changed. I wanted to do it as an experiment. And overall, like, it fits in with the brand, the consistency, it's all great. I think I'm going to go more to like a weekly thing, like 50 a week versus 7 a day. I would rather do the 50 a week just to get that consistency in my scheduling. There were times where I was scheduling out 2 weeks, and it just felt like, man, if I listed that thing that's going to list next Sunday, if I listed that tonight, it might just sell. So for a week and a half, like just floating that item, not having that capital, not having that cash flow, if I go to weekly listing, I feel like I would make that more the play, because it's just like, hey, Tuesday is the day that I'm going to do this, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it works out, but I am not sure. Like, my schedule this past several months has been rough. It's been bad because I'm working nights, but once I get back into the flow of things, once I get back into a normal 9 to 5-ish schedule, it'll be great. How's it going, 100 Charizards? Nice to see you in here. Dan, listened to a podcast recently where you were the guest. Knowing you're an eBay advocate, if you had to choose TCG Player or eBay, I choose eBay. And as 100 Charizard mentions, eBay does own TCG Player, which you said you know. The marketplaces are very different. So pros of eBay, I guess, are one pro that feels almost more like a con. Kind of could be either, depending on which angle you look at it. But like TCG Player, it's great in some ways because, like, I don't have to photograph this card. I condition this card, and if it's near mint, I put 20 near mint in there. You can do that on eBay too via a stock photo, but you have to create that listing yourself. TCG Player, you're using their listing template. And if you're the low list, you're going to get like high search results. On eBay, you've got to list it via your own listing, and you have to you have to kind of pay. You have to pay to get that ranking up. I just posted a short that came out of my live from 2 weeks ago, and I talked about how eBay's kind of pay to win. So that's kind of a pro, that's kind of a con, because if you can pay eBay an additional 5% to earn an additional 10%, well, that's plus EV. It doesn't feel great, makes you die a little on the inside. I miss the days of 10. I've been on eBay for 20 years now, my selling account. I miss the days where you could just low list and the default search was low list and you'd get more sales being that way. But now it's like best match, and best match is not best match for you. It's best match for eBay. So overall, I think it all depends on what you're doing. I primarily do single graded cards. So eBay wins out by a landslide. eBay has the liquidity. eBay has the buyers for that. TCG Player, if you're doing near mint, raw singles, especially playable stuff, all stuff like that, TCG Player is the place to be. So it highly depends on what you have and what your business is. But for me, eBay, because it's raw, because it's single graded cards. Does the title mean you're buying collections at 80%? Does that count for slabs? So yes, I'm buying not everything at 80% though. I'm buying the higher liquidity it is and the higher value it is, the higher I'm paying on it. eBay Vault is a closing window, but I will buy stuff at 80+% that is eBay Vault eligible if it is if it's sub 250. So obviously a $50 card is the same amount of work to ship as a $500 card. A $50 card, when you ship it, 10% fee built in shipping. So if I sell something for 50 shipped, it costs me $5 to ship it. That's the same 5% it costs. Sorry, the same $5 it costs to ship a $500 card. So the frictional fee of like shipping an item is 10% at the $50 price point. and it's only 1% at the $500 price point. Now when you start, like, if you ship, at some point it goes up a little bit. Whenever you start having to include signature, whenever you start maybe switching over to a box to priority mail. So maybe 500 is less expensive than like 750 is because of those reasons. Just gotta say quickly, let's go Rangers. Rangers up 3-0. Looking to close it out in Washington next game 4. But yeah, I will not buy $50 slabs at 80%. If I buy a $50 slab at 80% and sell it on eBay, that's 50, and that's minus $5 for shipping. That's minus $750 for the rounded up to 15% eBay fees. It's not quite that high, but just you want to be cautious on the buying side, right? So I'm at $37.50 net on paying $40. So I can't buy $50 slabs at 80%. A $250 slab, $250, I can put it in eBay Vault and I can sell it for 0 fees for some small amount of time. Whether that ends in a week, whether that ends in months, I don't really know. But say I have to go to eBay, $250 slab, buy it at 80%, it's $200. So $250 minus, let's do 12%, the actual number, $30 minus $5, so minus $35. I net $215. Making $15 risking $200 is not the greatest. It's a sub 10% net margin after all your fees and everything. But it's workable. It's workable, right? So you can see right there why 80% on a $250 slab is workable, but 80% on a $50 slab is not workable. Liquidity matters too. If a slab is $250, but its last sold was 6 months ago, and there's 3 listed between $250 and $300, and the last sold was 6 months ago, only 1 or 2 sell a year, I'm not going to want to pay 80% on that. But if it's an alt art, if it's a Moonbryon, I will pay 90% on a Moonbryon to make $100 quick through the eBay Vault. That's going to change though too. Like I won't be able to pay 90% once the eBay Vault closes. I'm going to have to figure something out. But yeah, there's a lot of dynamics at play on what I can pay. I know there's a lot of people out there that say always buying 70% on everything. Like if you start sending them certain things, if you start trying to include certain things, they'll tell you what the caveats are. They'll tell you what the exceptions are very quickly. Any of the bulk buyers at a flat percentage. There's always limits, and it's easy to test them. Japanese product prices are definitely buoyed by the difficulty to acquire the product. Absolutely. Yeah, it's just a lot less intuitive supply chain. I mean, Pokemon Center. A lot of people wonder, like, why does Pokemon Center, why does TCG Player go so much higher than, like, Pokemon Center? Well, one, Pokemon Center ships internationally, I think. Or maybe, sorry. TCG Player ships internationally, I think. And, more and more, like Pokemon relative to non-Pokemon TCGs, Pokemon is a lot more optimized, but it's still nowhere near as optimized, and it never will be as optimized as like stocks or even cryptocurrencies or things like that. There will always be arbitrage between platforms. There will always be Troll and Toad, TCG Player, eBay. There will always be like, there's no one set price. There's always different prices. Any given set, like Twilight Masquerade as it comes out, there are people pre-ordering anywhere between 90 and 140, I'm sure. Like, there's vast price differences. Let's see. The hobby's still listening to this man. He doesn't that opposite of what he preaches. We got some typos in there, Walrus. He does. Okay, here we go. He does the opposite of what he preaches. Wake up, y'all. Dude, Celebrations sucked. It's not even close. I like Celebrations a lot, but USPS has a street addressing option so you can receive packages from any carrier. That is case by case. That is PO box by PO box. Some places it's like a paid thing, an upcharge thing, so you can buy a PO box and then you can upgrade it to a street address. But not everyone always has it. You're better off and flipping and working. Don't go full-time. Man just wanted all the full-time to himself. Hypocrite of all collectibles. Yeah, you're much better off as a side hustler. Save the full-time grind for me. No, but honestly, this is not a lie. This is not something I was able to do. This is something some people kill it with. Double dipping. Double dipping is the way to go. There are people on the payroll working their 5-10 hours a week and Pokemon 25 to 30 hours a week. in the background of their 9 to 5. So they're getting paid to watch YouTube, they're getting paid to browse eBay, and then they're getting that side income. Never quite had that set up on my end. Maybe a little bit, but nothing like the extent of some people, I'm sure. Welcome back, collectibles. Wow, the Rolo holds 1,000 labels. I should have looked at the Rolo. Dang. Let's see. Dan wants y'all to net less. Man doesn't add promo at all. I have done some experiments. I actually did some experiments with the Celebrations Charizard, and I made a video on that like a year ago. If you search it and there's less than like 10 of them on eBay, and I'm near the low list or maybe the low list, I don't promo. What I do promo is when it's like there's hundreds of them. If I'm selling a Celebrations Charizard, I'll sell a Celebrations Charizard 10-15% above market with a 3 to 5% promo. So I definitely do promo some stuff, but not all stuff is worth promoing. You gotta know. Nice to see you, Boondock. I'm moving towards selling $40 and under slabs locally only and taking those off eBay. I am hopefully moving mine to eBay Live soon. So hopefully, we'll see how it goes. But hopefully I can get higher liquidity with less, a lot of the like onesie twosie stuff. Like right now I have those mystery listings. I sell anything between $15 and $25 slabs in a listing for like 20 bucks or whatever it is. How's it going, Echo? Nice to see you. But yeah, in the coming months, maybe this summer and beyond, I might be selling those via eBay Live. So we'll have to see. Double dip gang, stand up. I'm almost fully caught up now. Sorry, I got pretty far behind. I got about 20 minutes behind there. But I am mostly caught up, so feel free, as always, to leave your questions in chat, and I will get to them. I'm going to go for about another hour. I have to call it quits at an hour. I do have a call I have to take at 11, so... What's your thoughts on collecting master sets of Modern to hold on to and sell in 20 years or so down the line? So I've always been a big proponent of splitting up is always the way to sell. I think a lot of collectors will spend a lot of time putting together things that are meaningful to them or that they enjoy, and they will then go to the secondary market and assume that someone else will care. It's kind of a harsh thing to say, but most people won't care. The more collecting a master set, collecting a complete set, that's more mainstream. It's more likely people will care. But if you like, I've made a business over the past several years of buying ill-advised lots, buying ill-advised things that people throw 50 slabs together. It's got CGC 7s, it's got BGS 9s, it's got PSA 10s, it's got modern, mid-era, vintage, it's got everything. Those are the most ill-advised things because nobody's going to want to collect the same exact thing that you collect. So the more things you group together, the more limited your buyer pool is. One, because the amount of money, as the amount of money goes up, the amount of people able to buy it goes down. But I always talk about the funnel. At the bottom of the funnel, you will have maybe that one person in the world, a few people in the world that want what you have, and then they won't have the money. They'll already have half it complete, so they won't want to buy yours, and they won't want to get duplicates, right? So it is more work, but selling it individually is always the way to go, in my opinion. It just went in the mail today, hopefully. So my video on Monday is going to be my $54,000 collection buy of graded. And the following Monday, pending when it comes in, I might be able to get it turned around within a week, but maybe not. If it's not the next Monday, it'll be the Monday after that probably. But I am buying a master set, Sword and Shield, Sun and Moon. All Sun and Moon sets, all Sword and Shield sets. The multi 5-figure buy, really excited for it. It's really cool. But I'm paying a percentage. I just went through and I took a percentage of the Pokelector app, basically of TCG player prices, and I'm not paying a premium for that. So your only buyers, not your only buyers, but your most likely buyers will be someone who's just going to break it down and do the work for you. And they're going to pay you a percentage so that they can break it up and make the margin selling the full thing. Like, that said, if this is an endeavor that is not purely financial, like if you greatly enjoy master set collecting, and if over the next 20 years you will thoroughly enjoy having possession of those, and you will enjoy owning those, and one thing that happens a lot in Pokemon, no one's like, I can't say no one. Very few people are purely collecting, as in like, a lot of people say it, but I don't believe a lot of people. This stuff could go to 0 and I would just open everything. This stuff could go to 0 and I would still love it. This stuff could go to 0 and I would still buy it all. Most people, they buy, they collect, they care about future value to some extent, but it's not the primary. Like probably primary collecting, but a lot of it's justified by, hey, this is going to be worth something in the future. So if you are collecting master sets because that's what brings you joy, and if you I think you'll do fine. I think you'll do fine into the future, being able to sell them for some reasonable amount of money. Like, how many hobbies are there out there? How many things are there out there that you buy? Like, I'm never gonna sell these canvases for more money than I paid for them. A lot of stuff that you buy, you just consume. They go to 0 the second you buy them. Functionally, you're never able to sell them again for any amount of money. And in Pokemon, we have this great thing where, like, they're worth something down the line. So financially and logistically, in a lot of ways, I would think you'd be better off just buying duplicates of the better stuff and not buying, like, because master sets are really, they're a pain to ship too. Do you take them out of the sleeves? Are they in sleeves? Are they in card savers? How do you ship a binder? Like, there's a lot of stuff going on there that's just like a pain in the butt logistically. So if you're doing it purely for money, I would say be more choosy and buy specific things, or buy like traditional stuff, tax advantage, as I always say. If you're doing like a blend of, I want to have fun collecting and I want to know it's going to be worth something down the line, I think collecting master sets, like put together in a very, like, it's not going to be the best investment you ever had, but it's also not going to be the worst one. And you're going to have a lot of fun doing it too. One thing that I used to do that I would love to still have the time to do, I just don't anymore. I used to buy and open a case, sell off all the duplicates, and I would take the hits from that case, put them towards my master set, buy what I needed to fill out the master set. Well, not master, complete set, no reverses, because I never collected reverses. I don't really like them. But yeah, like Phantom Forces, when I got back in, I pulled almost the whole set. Back when you could pull almost the whole complete set in one case. I pulled my own Dialga, the Silver Dialga 122. I pulled my own Mega Gengar. I don't remember all the ones I pulled, but I definitely ended up opening more than a case too eventually. But yeah, there's a lot of things. What are your goals? Align yourself with those goals, and then do things to advance yourself towards those goals. So I think I covered that from a lot of angles, and hopefully that suffices. Thoughts on market manipulation from card buyouts? I don't know. They definitely happen to some extent. I think the whole comp culture that we're in Pokemon, I think buyouts are unreasonably effective because people are unreasonably fickle. I say it all the time. Price goes up because price goes up. FOMO exists. Price goes down because price goes down sometimes too. But yeah, people are so fickle. This market is so unoptimized. This market is so gameable in a lot of ways that, like, buyouts done right can be very effective. And it's just, know that they can happen, know how to see them, and be prepared to just set a limit. Like people are really bad at just passing on certain things. Like, it is completely fine to pass on certain things if or when the prices get really silly and you think it's not justified by what it is. Like, Pokemon is so expensive. I say this in a position, like, more financially sound than I've ever been in my life. I was much less financially sound 10 years ago when I got into Pokemon, but the prices made a lot more sense to me. A lot of the stuff, I was still justifying buying it by, like, oh, this stuff's going to be worth more, like, as much or more in the future. But these days, it's like so many of the prices are so high. Like, it's... on one hand, I don't know how people justify it, but then on the other hand, it's like people throw money away, myself included, all the time in different ways. So it's like, who's to say? Who's to say what it is, right? Like, adults spending their money as they see fit. So, yeah, just set budgets, set limits on what you're willing to pay for something, and be willing to just, like, pass on occasions. I know, gotta catch them all, Catch 'em all collectibles. It's right in the names, but it's fine to not get them all too. uh, I can't keep up with them all. That's why I have a it's outside of my office, but I have a cabinet. I have a cabinet with my former, well, I guess it's still my current collection, but it's been rated so many times over because it's like I love the thought. I love the thought of having a cabinet in my house, which I used to have, of every complete set. Literally just flip it through. Here's base. Here's all of the WotC. Here's the e-readers. Here's EX Era. Here's Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Platinum, Diamond, and Pearl. Every card ever released in Pokemon in a binder. It's way too much money. Like, I'm way too broke for that. The market values this stuff way higher than I do. And so I sell the stuff that the market value is higher than I do. And it's perfectly fine. Part of me would love to have all that stuff, but all of me can't afford that. And even if I could, even if I was a multi-deca millionaire and I could just afford to have $100,000 cabinet of complete sets of everything, like an LP, whatever, I don't want it that bad. Like, maybe proportionally, maybe if I was a multi-deca millionaire, maybe if I was a billionaire, like maybe I do want it that bad because it's so irrelevant. $100,000 in a random cabinet, but I don't ever see myself getting there. So even though I love the thought of having every card from Pokemon ever released, I've come to terms with the fact that I never will. Because it's way too much space-wise, it's way too much money-wise, and it's a project. It's a project to keep up on, and I just can't keep up on it. Shout out to Coffee Talks, shout out to Dave Person, doing what he's doing, collecting every English card, every variant. Like, props to him and Dan, DJ Gigabyte, putting that together. I just can't do it. It's crazy. The size of these sets, the cost to... I loved opening the cards myself, was a big part. Opening every box, that was in my past. Collector Boy Dan, crazy. To try and do that today, to try and keep that going, it's crazy. Mr. Walrus is full-time and double dips. See, that's the way to go. So Mr. Walrus, that is actually great. You got to get on the payroll of someone else in the Pokemon space, and then do Pokemon on the side of your Pokemon main. That is innovation right there. I don't know if Cam's doing the same maybe over at Z&G Emporium, but that would be the play. Being on salary, on payroll for a Pokemon 9 to 5, doing Pokemon within, and maybe using some of the benefits, maybe using some of the lower fee structures, using some of those to your benefit on the selling side too. That you're like triple dipping at that point. That's the way to go. Tom B says, question, more like speculation. I had someone at a card show tell me they're buying SGC 9.5s in hopes PSA will convert them to PSA 10s in the future. What do you think of that? I think the odds of that are extremely low. I think the odds of Metazoo coming to a revival and me selling my Kickstarter boxes for $25,000 each is more likely, to be honest. I think that there are way too many SGC 9.5s out there. Is SGC 9.5 called Gem Mint? I mean, PSA has openly stated that they intend to keep SGC and PSA operating separately, which is reasonable to me. Yeah, SGC 9.5 is called Gem Mint, but SGC and PSA have distinctly... The amount of people that would be so furious over that, the amount of pop reports that would just be completely like... Yeah, that would be too much. CGC making its own internal change to their grading scale, calling what was a C, like, yeah, I never see it happening. I would be very, very shocked with that. Ill-advised lot slabs. Chill dog, that's my business model. Funnel Talk Fridays, love it. How's it going, Gabe? Oh man, if this stuff goes down 10%, I'm out. When Dan says most people, he's talking about himself. I don't know what I was saying about most people at that point, but I might be. I don't know. J-Ray Pokey says, nah, I just like doing master sets and have fell back from trying to keep up with every price and the money behind it. I just miss collecting, but I also one day know I'll be old and ready to sell it. Also, damn, that was a more intricate answer than I ever could have hoped for. I think if I were coming into the hobby today, and if I were just like collector boy Dan, if I were trying to collect master sets in the most optimally fun and economical way possible, I would probably do what I did 10 years ago. I would probably buy a case. I would probably buy a case of a product, and mind you, like, you used to be able to pull almost the whole set from a case. You'd have some duplicates, but I would pull and open a case because I really do enjoy opening product. So I like pulling my own chase cards. You're not gonna pull them all, but you open it and you pull a case. You do some trading. Trading's always fun. Go to your local LGS. Go have a good time. Maybe play in the league. And I would open a case. I would do some trading. I would sell off whatever I couldn't trade in my bulk, whatever. And I would buy the rest of the singles. I would target buying the rest of the singles about like a year out from release. So sometime before they're done printing it, and sometime, like, generally speaking, barring Moonbreon, barring like some exceptions, most cards are very expensive out of the gate. Like, most people pay a very big impatience premium. And so I would target somewhere between 6 to 18 months out to buy my singles to fill out my master set. And depending on, like, during the boom, there was a short stint there. Generally speaking, I would try to buy my case at release at around today, these days, 90 to 100 a box, $600, $500, $600 a case. There was a 2-year window where you couldn't do that, right? Battle Styles was 150 out of the gate. It's easy to say now today, on Battle Styles, I would have waited. On this and that, I would have waited. But you probably would have missed some. You would have done some poorly. You would have timed some well. You would have timed some poorly. That's just the nature of the beast, right? That's the nature of the beast. These collectible crazy markets we're in. You're never gonna sell perfectly at the top, and you're never gonna buy perfectly at the bottom. You're never gonna time it all perfectly. Putting money in Pokemon is throwing it away. Did I say that? I don't think I said that, but hopefully I didn't. I think I was talking about consuming. Like, a lot of people, when they consume stuff, like, say you buy some new clothes, say you buy some new shoes or whatever, they're giving you utility at least, though. Say you buy some random knickknack that goes on your wall. You buy some random, a lot of stuff that people buy, it just goes to zero immediately. Like, that money is just fully consumed. You go out to eat, you go out and you eat a $50 dinner when you could have ate at home for $5. You're getting the experience, blah, blah, blah. But that amount of money is just literally consumed and gone, poof, gone forever. You're never going to get money back from it. But in Pokemon, like, a lot of the stuff you buy, it's great. A lot of the stuff you buy, you can get money back down the line. So, no, I think I said in Pokemon, you're, like, not throwing money away a lot of times. Your price might go down, but it's not going down to zero. Hopefully not, at least. We got Mr. Poop Shoot in chat. L-Dub says, will there ever be a tax-advantaged Pokemon investment account? We need PIAs for our investing needs. Now that you are a Pokemon investor, would you use a PIA? Pokemon investment account. So, talking like IRAs or... I would not put it past some company to try to securitize Pokemon booster boxes or something. The amount of, so say they print 10 billion cards in a year. Say they print like 1 million boxes of a set. The issue is you couldn't get enough money in there. If they only print a couple million boxes of every set, it would have to be very niche. It would have to be small. The fees in it would have to be monumental. I actually thought about, as one part of my, like, series on investing. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to have the SEC coming after me. I'm not going to try to securitize a pallet of Pokemon cards or a warehouse of Pokemon cards and sell shares towards that pallet or whatever. I had somebody message me on, or not message me, but comment on my video, like, I hope you're not trying to sell shares of a pallet, because that will then become a security and there will be all kinds of laws and issues with that. But running through the thought experiment of it, like, if I were to do that, what would it look like? Like, say I put together a $50,000 Pokemon palette. What would you have to charge as administrative fees to that? It would be a lot. It would be a lot. Like if someone wanted to sell their share, and this is kind of what Liquid Marketplace does, or tried to do, and didn't do too well with it. But if someone wanted to sell their shares to someone else, that would just be a digital transfer, easy enough. But if it came to selling the actual items within the pallet, so investors could be paid out cash from like actually selling the goods, there would be a lot of fees there, obviously, right? Certainly there would have to be a lot of fees to make it worthwhile to the one putting the fund together, and then there would have to be you'd have to return a lot of money to be able to make any more money. The fact Dan has a sugar mama becomes more and more apparent as time goes on. Gross. How come you make your wife work a real job and you get to play at home with cardboard? Is there plans to let her retire early? So what I envision, what I think about, I see, so my daughter's starting pre-K next year. I'm trying to remember. So my son had his pre-K graduation this last year. He'll be having his kindergarten graduation this year. They actually said, it kind of blew my mind when they said what class he was going to be. I think he's like the class of 2036. So my daughter will be the class of, is that right? Yeah, it's got to be. So my daughter will be the class of like 2038, 14-ish years from now. If she doesn't want to, after that for sure. Like once the kids are out of school, she wouldn't have to. Like definitely not. I've actually had this conversation with my dad too, because my dad does his own thing. I guess my mom has the real job. My mom has the real job with the benefits, and then my dad has the he gets to play with cars, he gets to play with power tools, whatever. On paper, maybe there's some years that he doesn't make as much as her, but functionally and in reality, I think almost every single year he's probably made the majority of the money. Will that be the case for me forever? Like as of today, I'm making more than my wife is right now. Will that be the case in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years if I'm still in cardboard? I genuinely have no idea. And if it's not, I'd probably pivot out towards something else. But yeah, if my wife wants to continue working beyond 2038, she could absolutely do that. If she wants to retire before that, we could probably make it happen. Like if she ever became so miserable with her job that she just couldn't do it anymore, we would absolutely figure something out. Is she going to be able to just literally do nothing as it's being inferred that I do, which obviously I don't do? I don't think we're in that kind of a financial position, but absolutely, I took the leap because I was unhappy with certain things at my job, and this brings me more financially. This brings me more happiness and all that, more freedom. So teaching though, man, I remember growing up, all the rhetoric by the teachers about how poorly they were compensated and this and that. I don't know, man. She's on the New York State teachers retirement system. Nowhere near what it used to be. I think she's like tier 6. So some of the teachers that taught me growing up are like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 New York teachers retirement system. But the pension that she's got, it's like guaranteed numbers based off like who knows what. It's just a Ponzi scheme like Social Security. It's based on more people coming in. Don't get me started on that. I'm gonna have to turn the lights red. But yeah, she's got a really good pension. Not nearly what it used to be for former teachers. She makes a decent wage. She makes pretty solid money, and she gets a lot of time off, which works well with what I'm doing. Whatever, if she ever did make a pivot, if she ever did want to do something else, like I think as getting kind of deep potentially here, I guess, but I think everyone, just humanity, and maybe some people, trust fund babies, whatever, maybe there's an argument to be made that they could have a fulfilling life, not doing anything. But generally speaking, like money is generated when you're doing something productive. Like productivity in society, advancing society, bringing something to the table for society is generally compensated financially. So like, I just never see myself not doing anything productive. And productive things just naturally by design, inherently, spin off revenue. They spin off money. So yeah, if she ever were able to find something that she wanted to do otherwise, like, I just feel like doing nothing productive towards society, and people could really push me here. And they how productive is what you're doing actually? Fair. I mean, completely fair. Jake actually has had some funny comments recently. He had a good interview on Pokemon Wonder the other night where he talked about how we're just middlemen, right? We're just buying from person A, maybe repackaging it in some plastic and then selling it on to person B. As far as the chain of value goes, like teachers are much higher than Pokemon resellers in most all ways, I would say. But I couldn't ever see myself like not doing anything, and I think if and again I started this rant some point minutes ago, a conversation I had with my dad about like my mom retiring early, and it's like, well, what would you do with your time? A lot of people I think end up, well, sadly, a lot of people get to the point where they can't retire. They just financially, retirement will never be a reality for them. They can't ever do it. But some amount of people, they actually retire and they're like, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know what to do anymore. Like 40, 50 hours a week, maybe plus commute, plus transit, maybe 60, 70 hours a week just became freed up. And people get like bored and they don't know what to do. Like I have lots of ideas for what I want to do in retirement, but I never see myself doing like a full-fledged retirement. Hopefully I'm always physically able to work, and hopefully I'm never forced to medically retire or anything like that. But no, that was a long rant and ramble on. We'll see where the future we'll see what the future holds. We'll see where this all goes. But the plan tentatively is for her to work till the kids are out of school, and then hopefully kids go to college. Like we've actually had the conversation of we kind of plan on being in this house in this area for the next 20 years to get them through school. Where are our kids going to end up? We have no idea. Like we both live relatively close to where we grew up. Maybe one of our kids goes and lives in California. Maybe one of them goes and lives in Florida. Like maybe our next house will be something a lot smaller, and we'll do a lot more travel. Maybe we'll have an RV that we park in different places all over the country, and I'm managing my eBay vault, my PWCC, PSA vault, whatever kind of a vault thing we've got going on. Maybe I'm just managing that all digitally and doing some kind of content along the way of my RV, food truck, whatever I've got going on. I don't know. It's or am I just gonna keep slave driving? It's crazy to think about. Like I genuinely have no idea. You make loose plans, and then you reevaluate as time goes on. If you would ask me 5 years ago in 2019, what do you think you're gonna be doing in 5 years? I would have missed the mark by a lot. So I'm talking about 15 years out. I have no idea, but that's like my theory. That's the best guess. That's my best educated guess. Dan's actually trying to get more wives and stay even more and harder at home. Oh man, definitely not. One is plenty. Um, what advice would you have for someone who wants to start selling at smaller shows and is only starting with 1K? Where would you start? I would start with binders. I've never done them, but I hear they do really well. I would have 50-cent binders, $1 binders, $2 binders, $3. Like you could probably go out and you could buy a bunch of like bulk V's and V Maxes and things like that for 50 cents to $1 a piece, and maybe you can put $2 a piece on them. Maybe you can go out and you can buy a bunch of like Japanese cards, buy a bunch of Japanese SIRs and IRs. I'm so bad with all the acronyms for Japanese cards. But buy a bunch of stuff and try to like double up. Try to buy cards for $1 and turn them into $2. Try to buy cards for $2 and turn them into 4 or 5. With $1,000, I probably wouldn't talk about grading at all yet at that point. The amount of liquidity that will tie up, the amount of time that will tie up your liquidity in the cards too. That's just tough. Like if you get a one-off banger, like say you get some crazy deal on an alt art at 70% that you're very confident is going to 10, it would still be tough because it's like if you tie up $300, 400, $500, and then it misses and you 9 and you lose $50, like and all that time, that's a lot more punitive. So I would start with just like binders and singles and try to be like liquid, raw stuff. Try to make high margin, low dollar plays. That's what I would do. Um, Is a $750 Metazoo Kickstarter box a buy right now? I have two. I'm not selling them. I'm also not buying more. I contemplated picking up a third and then trying to... Maybe I should pick one up and then try to do an eBay Live off one. That sounds really dark, though. That would probably go very poorly. I've contemplated buying one to do a box break. Either a personal... I mean, at that price point, as crazy as it sounds, to throw another $750 into the Metazoo dumpster fire, it's like, whatever. It makes my two that I keep sealed more rare. So maybe someday I'll open one. That's the... I've opened every other box in high quantity. So, base set first edition, English, Pokemon was always my white whale. I will never open it. Should I allow the same mistake to happen in Metazoo? Say that scenario that I talked about earlier. Metazoo gets a revival, and I will kick myself forever if I didn't buy one and open one for $20 a pack. So, Greenie's talking me into buying one and opening it for myself. Maybe I'll do that. But very speculative. Very likely, the most likely outcome to me for Metazoo is down and to the right, both in price and liquidity. So I think a Kickstarter box is something that, even if Metazoo stays dead forever and goes down and to the right generally, that is an item that could have a premium. That is an item that could trickle up. Could, but maybe won't too. There are these like Naruto boxes that are a couple grand. There are these Dragon Ball Z score boxes that are a couple grand. And I think they were printed a lot higher than Kickstarter. Obviously, they have the IP and blah, blah, blah. But if you've got the money and you know what you're getting into, you know how speculative that is. There are worse things to throw $750 at. There are also better things to throw $750 at. That's what I'll say. Almond says $15 pack rating when? Cards are barely being graded for cheaper than that. Grading is pack rating is fairly niche. I would be pretty surprised if they went to $15 pack rating anytime soon. Maybe $15 pack rating if or when we ever see like $8 card grading again. So fairly unlikely, I think. I heard a rumor that Metazoo's coming back. Can you shed some light, Dan? I did not watch that video, but yeah, Nick Strength and Pokemon. He had a few month break there, a couple month break with videos, and he's made a couple recently. It did push into my recommended. I did add it to my watch later, but I've not yet watched. I don't know that I'll even watch it. It feels unlikely. It feels unlikely that Metazoo will actually come back in any meaningful way. But yeah, he made a video about that dumpster of Metazoo product, and then he made a follow-up video talking about it being real, which I didn't watch that one either. I haven't watched any of them, but I've seen them all. They're being recommended to me, and they're being talked about in some Discords I'm in, so I don't know. Derek Page says, Dan, rank your top 5 Sword and Shield main sets in terms of best investment in your opinion. Best investment from today's prices? This is too much of like a what should I buy question, but I guess the best way to answer it, I made my video on Monday. Go check out my video from Monday, walking the walk. So don't listen to what I say. Don't listen to what others say. Look at the walk that I'm walking. Don't listen to the talk that I'm talking. Look at the walk that I'm walking. So in the past month or two, let me see if I can find my spreadsheet amongst all my spreadsheets. So in the past month or two, mostly what I've been buying, and this is something that having a channel, having access to people who want to sell, I am more prone to buy the one that I can get the best deal on relative to market. So I'm generally not buying much of this at 100% of market. So if someone emails me tomorrow with 10 grand in Evolving Skies at 70%, I will buy 10 grand of Evolving Skies tomorrow at 70%, maybe even at 80%. If someone emails me with 20 grand of Vivid Voltage at 70 to 80%, I will buy 20 grand of Vivid Voltage tomorrow. So a lot of it is like opportunity. Which one is available to me? But what I've primarily been buying in the past couple months is like Battle Styles, because it's cheapest. It's a fair bit older than a lot of the earlier ones. I've actually bought some Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, again, because they're a little bit older. They had all that crazy stuff that went on. I mean, I don't like the sets as much, obviously. I don't like the hits, the chases in them. But I also like Brilliant Stars. Brilliant Stars has that thing going on where like market price is kind of higher than what you can get it for at TCG Player. Astral Radiance and Lost Origin, we just lost them, right? I mean, Silver. I'm kind of naming every single Sword and Shield set, but Silver Tempest is probably the next one that's going to have the Pokemon Center sellout. It is the next one that, as of right now, as of when I quoted it last, a week ago, it's close to MSRP, and it's gonna get to where Pokemon Center is actually your cheapest available source. So, but it's all relative to what you can get. Browse eBay. Shout out to Retro again. I was actually in Discord, and I saw some people talking, and I was the guy who, when someone shared an eBay listing link, he shared an eBay listing link to like maybe it was 6 cases of Brilliant Stars, and I snapped them. I think I bought 3 or 4. I didn't buy them all, but it just so happened to be an eBay new listing for booster cases at like 85 to 90% of what they generally go for. So I snapped them because that was the opportunity that came for the day. Pokemon is such a massive market. Even if you have liquidity of $1 million a month, way beyond my spending capacity, way beyond my liquidity, you could go broke buying at sub-market. So why buy anything at market when you can run out all your money at 50 to 99% of market, right? Like that's my biggest thing. So my top 5 is fully dependent on what's in my DMs. Like what's in my DMs right now? Probably a little bit of all of them. I actually, after this live, I have a consult at 11, and then I have to quote some big collection investment, whatever buys. I have multiple from all this talk I've been doing. There's a lot of people out there willing to sell at 90%, no fuss. Send to me, then you get your PayPal friends and family on the back end, no risk. And if you sell this thing on eBay, someone's gonna cry. Oh, the box was crushed. Oh, the seal, maybe it was resealed. Like I've owned and held a lot of boxes before. I'm probably gonna break this eventually on eBay Live or something. But like this stuff doesn't scare me. This labels on cases. I'm gonna be your easiest buyer you've ever sold to. That's a big shout out to me. Brad's gonna love that one. Wallace is gonna love that one. Big shout out to me. I'm the easiest buyer you'll ever deal with. I'll tell you the percentages. I'll tell you what I'm buying, and I'm not gonna nitpick over the boxes being slightly crushed. I'm not gonna nitpick over this case formerly had a label on it. Oh, the stop tape is crooked. Like I get this stuff at wholesale distribution. I know what this stuff looks like. I'm not gonna cry about little. I mean, if we're talking major things, if you ran over it with a forklift and things are actually destroyed and the integrity of the product inside the cards is uncertain, then that's a different story. But little nitpicky things that I hear a lot of people bring up, I'm never going to bring any of that up. I'm going to say, hey, the money's sent. Thank you for sending. Dan begging to be scammed. That's a big shout out to me. Oh, man. That's funny. Obviously, like I've bought from every I've bought from people with $1 million in sales on their own stores, on their own accounts. So depending on what you're selling me, I'm definitely gonna do authenticity check. I feel quite confident in my ability to authenticate this stuff. So I'm not going to. I don't know if Brad's talking about me buying resealed product or whatever it may be, but I'm quite comfortable. I'm more comfortable with myself having the box, having the ability to feel it and touch it and see it, than if I were to buy something that was like BBC wrapped or something. So, but if, yeah, it's all case by case, and it's all that's the thing. It's my risk. You get paid out. I take all the risk from there. If I open this box 2 years from now and it ends up having been resealed, that's fully on me. That's fully my L. I won't and I can't come back at whoever sold that to me, right? So, yeah, feel free to reach out if you want to sell anything. Shout out to me. As the NG Emporium says, that's a big shout out to me. Anonymous person says DM'd you on Insta to discuss collection whenever you're next free. Yeah, I will. I will try to get through everything tonight, but I am nearing the point now that I've been talking so much about like buying collections more, and I for the past several months throughout this winter, I did not buy much. Now that I'm turning that faucet back on buying, at some point I'm gonna get to the point where I can't entertain all my DMs. I can't entertain all the questions and everything. Like if you're selling something to me, potentially absolutely, but a lot of this other stuff is it's getting to be too much. I'm getting days behind in my DMs and it's hard to catch up. A lot of that was to do with taking a couple days midweek to go to a water park, but still. Dan, thoughts on the Dolphins drafting the Prince of Nigeria, who is 6'7", 330 pounds. The Jets are doomed. Dolphins are trash. Jets gonna win the Super Bowl this year, easy. What do you think about the 25th celebrations metal Charizard and Pikachu's? The box has been at $380 for a while. With modern booster boxes going up so much, do you reckon these UPCs are underpriced? I don't know. I think most stuff is priced reasonably well. Like the market is inefficient in a lot of ways, but I think it prices things fairly reasonably. I'm not much in the game of like buying stuff and waiting for the price to go up. Saying that on the heels of a video where I'm talking about buying pallets wholesale and then sitting on one and waiting for it to go up. That is not the norm of what I do. The vast majority of what I do is just buying at a percentage, selling at a higher percentage, and moving on. And that will always be my main thing. James is loving it in here. Did Dan just say he's too big to answer messages now? Shaking my head. I'm getting close. I'm getting really close. I'm still answering all my DMs, but I'm getting days behind at a time, and I never used to do that. Did we talk about 151 yet and your thoughts on the reprint? A little bit. So hit up Retrospecs. He is a mod in my chat. Feel free to check the link in the description if you want to buy some Japanese 151. He sells it. He is able to source it more expertly, more experienced than I am. Time is valuable, so I just pay him to source my stuff for me. He beats all my other people too. I have other Japanese sources on Instagram, and he beats their prices every time that I've checked. So feel free to quote him against other people, check his stories, see what he's selling them for. Like, price check him, but he might be your best option, so feel free to go ahead if he is. But I said earlier, if you liked 151 2 months ago, you should really like it now. Fundamentally, it's a little bit different because like more products coming. But overall, it's still the same set and all that. And I was not a buyer. I guess at the right fraction of market, I would have been a buyer months back then. But one thing with Japanese is often you can't get it at much of a discount. In English, I have wholesale access. In Japanese, I do not. So I'm able to pay retro and get it like less than eBay. Get it less than like most big sites sell it for on the US side of Japanese product. So I get a little bit of an advantage, but nowhere near as much of it as much of an advantage as I get in English. So I do dabble in Japanese a little bit, but it's never gonna be like my biggest part or my only part of my business. It's just a little bit I do on the side, because I think a lot of the hurdles and a lot of the barriers to entry are kind of a pro to them to some extent. But me having to go over those same hurdles, like, not as great. Not as great of a pro when I'm going over the same hurdles everyone else is. At what point do you decide to sell something into a bubble? Do you base it on how much a card multiplies in value over a time period, or is it more just a gut feeling? So another video that I've teased, I know Mr. Walrus loves when I tease future upcoming videos. I'm going to do a case study on evolutions. So in my spreadsheets galore, I have literally every buy and every sell I made of evolutions. And I'm gonna go through like the was that a bubble, whatever you want to call it. Like it went to 1,000, it popped back to like 700, 800, whatever it is now. I'm gonna go through like my thought process, and I think I'll do like in tandem. Maybe it'll be its own video, maybe it will be in the same video. Evolutions 2.0, Evolving Skies, right? So I'm gonna do like, here was my thought process. Here's why I was buying this while I was selling this. Here's what my inventory was. I'm gonna try to like map all that out and do a case study in retrospect on Evolving Skies and Evolutions. And I will take you through exactly what I was thinking and what I was feeling. And that Dan that was doing that with evolutions, that's a different person. I'm in a different spot financially now. That Dan had debt. That Dan, every Evolving Skies case every Evolutions case he sold, some of those proceeds were going to paying off his mortgage. So I had motivations to sell then that I don't have as much now. So it'll be an interesting video, I think, for me in a lot of ways to just Monday morning quarterback. But a lot of these things, again, people try to, I want to do everything optimally. What is optimal is not the same for everybody. What is optimal? Again, somebody could have been better served buying the S&P 500 2 years ago, dollar for dollar, than Evolving Skies. Pending the right situations, pending, I'll do that in a video too. A lot of upcoming videos. But sell it if you have something better to do with the money, is what I generally say. Is that paying off debt? Is that whatever it may be? If you have somewhere else, but you need to account for taxes too. Because like if you have to sell X item, X asset, and pay 30-40% taxes on it, well, now you only have 60 to 70% of money to roll into the next thing. So will 60% of money in this next thing perform better than 100% of the money in this current thing? Like there are so many things at play, but a lot of it's a gut feeling. My gut was feeling very uneasy when Eevee and Pikachu were $1,000. So I sold at 200, 300, 500, 700, 800, 1,000. And then on the way back down, I sold at all those numbers again, all the way back down. A lot of it's a gut feeling though. It's all obvious in hindsight. But people will be very overconfident, and I made a video about that. People will be very, it was obvious. It's all obvious in hindsight. People will make very wild guesses. They'll go back and they'll make videos when they can point out what they made right. Very infrequently will they tell you like what was made wrong. One, because not even deviously, partly like their mind will just suppress that on its own. Like they'll literally forget about it. But sometimes deviously though too. Delete videos or whatever. That's definitely a thing too. Andrew Lee says, another question I have is with PSA Vault, do you think this will allow for international sellers to sell through PSA Vault? Do you think this will affect the eBay prices / US market? I have no idea. I know the PWCC Vault does allow international people to have a PWCC Vault and sell through them. So there must be a way to make it happen, given PWCC did it. Will PSA do it? I have no idea. I think we did see somewhere that at least early on, I think it will only be US people, but I'm not entirely sure. What I envision, it's all about this guy at all times. I'm 25 minutes behind. Holy crap. Start bringing your son to cons, please. He needs to see that guys can get jobs too and not just the women. That's hilarious. He will be, my son and my daughter, my whole family will be at New Jersey. We will only be there for like half of one day, I think. But we will all be there for sure. Dan, can I please just retire? Now I gotta buy another pallet of Pokemon cards and put them in a warehouse for 10 years. Said by James, who also has a sugar mama, getting the all the income for the household, getting all that W-2 income, getting that health insurance. Though James, I believe, does have health insurance for his employees too. So James is going full banker. Dan finds midday naps productive. Z&G Vault, yeah. This is where I was talking about that future where I could just digitally manage my business and through my Z&G Vault, have my food truck. Dan wants to be homeless and live in a van. How's it going, Quilly? Nice to see you. I think I caught your other question. Yeah, Bob, we did talk about 151 on your comment earlier. How's it going, Pokemon Cabal? Nice to see you in here. L-Dub says, if my house value raises in price, am I able to get a home appraisal to prove the raised value and show my equity has increased to 20% to request PMI removal? Thank you for your real estate advice. So I learned this years ago. I did not know that was a thing. But as far as I understand, you can. So say you buy a house for $100,000 with 5% down through like a first-time home buyer, FHA mortgage or whatever. I mean, I heard of some people as little as 3.5% down. So say you put $5,000 down on a $100,000 house, you only have $95,000. You have $95,000 loaned, only $5,000 equity. So like your LTV, loan to value, whatever the fancy terms are, but you only have 5% equity in that house. The bank is at a lot of risk if they have to recall that mortgage, if they have to take ownership of the property because you're not paying. So what they'll do is they'll charge PMI, private mortgage insurance, I believe. And the way that I understand it, and this could be different by state, I don't really know. But if your house goes from $100,000 to $120,000, and you can get it reappraised for that value, now, even though you didn't put down any more money, the risk of the lender just went down, right? Because now you have $5,000 in equity based on what you spent, but you also have $20,000 in equity based on price appreciation. So if the bank ever had to reclaim that through foreclosure, theoretically, they have more money to get at, and they should be able to come out break even or slightly ahead. So as far as I understand, you can get reappraised and remove PMI, but your mileage may vary. I'm not entirely sure. My red ink is now a PS8 9. PC item, probably. Mike Waddell will come back from the gas station any day now. Yeah, he went out for a pack of cigarettes. He'll be back. Brilliant battle, lost silver. I agree with Dan on the discount number, though. Eat up whatever sword shield you can get. Booster box-wise, sub 80% of market right now. Jordan TCG says, one more question. Since there are collectors that like raw cards and slabs, would you say it's worth it for a smaller reseller to buy cheaper mid-tier slabs like $30 to $250? Try it out a little bit. Try it out a little bit. Buy some at some percentage and try to flip them, right? Like, depending on who the consumers are. Like, I've mentioned this before, but you can be at Collecticon. This is the card I have in front of me, so let's use it. Say you have a red ink PSA 9 for $1,000. Someone else might have it at a different table for $1,200, and theirs might sell before yours does. Some amount of luck goes into card shows. You might have the best item, the best priced item in the place, but somebody sees someone else's first and they just buy it. So who your buyers are, like there are probably some small card shows where there are some big streamers local to that. They will just gobble up all your mid-tier stuff at 80, 90%. Maybe they always need inventory. Maybe there's a Cloud or a Cloud Junior near you. So someone who at random city, state, their local card show, they might kill it with $50, $200 slabs. And then at my local card show, they might be miserable. They might be terrible. There might be no streamers around. It might be all little kids looking to rip packs, buy $1, $2 VMAXs and stuff. It's so variable. Yeah, again, through retrospects, I'm buying a lot of that. I think I've spent $35,000 in the past couple of weeks on Japanese booster boxes, so feel free to hit up Retro. If you can find someone cheaper, definitely buy through them. Same thing I say with my eBay. It's there if you want to buy. Also, you don't need to buy from it if you can find something better, if you don't want the stuff. So, an own endorsement from the salty non-viral guy, New Low Dan. Oh man, no feather ruffling, Brad. You're good. Brad is always out here trying to stir pots, trying to ruffle feathers. That's his sole goal, though. I feel very confident in my ability to buy, and if that ever gets me burned, like it is what it is. I think the only fake product I ever bought, I guess that I know of, I could have a fake box hiding here or there. The only fake product I ever ended up buying was like years ago, back when I was buying $400 fossil boxes. I have it somewhere still. It was horrifically fake from the outside. You could tell immediately. I opened it up just to like get some photos to send to eBay. eBay fully refunded me. That's one thing. You buy on eBay. At times you can buy on eBay at 80, 90%. Sometimes even less. Auctions, whatever it may be. So you can buy on eBay with protection. What I'm doing is I'm buying. I have some protection in that they send first and then I pay. So if they send me fake stuff. Obviously fake stuff. I would return it to them at their cost. If they send me stuff that like I feel uneasy about, but I'm not certain it's fake, I would reimburse them the shipping that they paid, or I would have paid it myself up front. I actually have a couple collections inbound right now that if they're high enough value and if we negotiate it in, I will send a prepaid label to them. So if I sent the prepaid label to them and something came in that I felt uneasy about, if it didn't pass the sniff test but I wasn't positive, I would probably reach out to them and I would talk about like, hey, I'm going to open one of these on video, whatever. I can stream it on a private live if you want to, and I'll pay you the full amount we discussed. But if it ends up being fake, I'll send it back to you, and now you'll have an open fake product or whatever. Or I would just say like, I'll pay shipping to get it back to you. Like there's a lot of things that could happen. There's some amount of safety there, even though I'm paying friends and family, because I'm not paying till afterwards. Some people don't want to be paid friends and family. Maybe they don't trust me. Maybe they're reporting it anyways, and they'd rather just get it PayPal goods and services. But I buy some stuff. I send 10 grand, 15 grand up front, PayPal goods and services, and I buy it on my credit card. And I buy it through PayPal. So if they scam me, I get all my money back, and I'm not out any money. So I've done it both ways. I have a complete 1996 Japanese-based Master Set PSA 9 for sale. Never offered it for sale before. I'm guessing only one in the world. 96 PSA 9. The pops on a lot of that stuff are pretty high. I would imagine someone else has that. But I mean, it's a great collection. Like PSA 9, that's right in my wheelhouse. That's what I was always after. But sadly, as I said probably an hour ago, a lot of people get a lot of like personal value in their journey collecting, and a lot of that stuff just doesn't translate to secondary market value. A lot of people try to get a premium for selling their set, and a lot of people already have that set partially complete, or they don't want the whole set. They just want 1 card, 5 cards, 10 cards, or they don't have the money to buy the whole set all at once. So a lot of times complete sets like that just have to be sold at a discount to somebody that will piece them out and get them to their final owners. His ego gonna bite him in the ass if he keeps this up. What the hell? How much did Retro get for this ad? Hey man, I am pumping eBay's tires all the time. I am pumping a lot of people's tires all the time. I am where I am today, as small of a channel as I am, but like Nick bringing me on for the podcast as his seventh highest choice. I've gotten shout outs from James. I've gotten shout outs, partnering up with Jake. I'm not where I am today solely based on me. Like some amount of people shouted me out, brought me up, and helped me out. So I'm just paying it forward. Retro puts out a good product that I consume, and I shout that out. He helps me, so I can help him. How much did Dan get? Mason, are you a satisfied Retrospecs customer asking for a friend? I do believe that Mason Cardinal Gaming may have bought some product from Retro as well. When was the last time you ate a donut, and which flavor was it? I'm a big plain glazed guy. Pretty basic, pretty boring, pretty typical to the brand. I think, though, I don't think that's the last donut I had. The Stein Show. So anyone that watched that video on a Saturday, what was that, like a month ago? About a month ago, I went to that Stein Show. Very snowy on the way, and I stopped. I got a French cruller. I'm a big fan of the crullers. I've heard them called they look like a tractor tire almost. So it's basically just a plain glazed donut. It's like twisted really weird to look like a tractor tire. But probably a month ago, and it was a French cruller. My wife might be listening. She might text me a correction. She might say, like, we just got donuts a week ago, and you had maybe some, I don't know. I might have missed one, but that's the last one that comes to mind. Are you going to bail me out on my 9s, Wally? Let's see. On a Monday, man can't remember CAC weekend that passed, but wants us to believe he can remember 2020, though. See, the nice thing about, I believe this is probably with respect to my talking about the case study video. I have receipts. I have all my, literally I can just go into a 10,000 row, 30,000 row spreadsheet, and I can control F, and I can look for Evolution's booster case, Evolution's booster box. And I can put together that case study information quite quickly. I almost think I started it before. I might have that underway somewhere. I need to look it up. Maybe I've already made a video on that. I don't know. I know I did. I did a case study. I'm picturing the thumbnail right now. Somebody lied to me, and it had the Never Punished. It had James and Cam on. Maybe just James on it. James and Cam, maybe both of them. But it was doing a retrospective review on the Zard UPC, how obvious of a play it was, and maybe 5-10 years from now I'll do another one on how my 200 of them, my half pallet of Zard UPCs did really well. I don't know. Is James respect overvalued in this economy? Yes. Gut and by feel is code for not spilling plays. Do we know if Brian/PokeNE is safe from all those tornadoes today? A bunch of tornadoes tore through Omaha. I actually did see. I don't look at Instagram stories a ton, but I did look at some today, and I saw that he was he posted some. He posted a picture that like one of his friends had sent him that was not very far away, but as of the story that I read, I saw that he was good and safe. Hopefully everyone is. Everyone in Omaha, everyone in Nebraska, and elsewhere. If you get a PSA 10 and feel anything except contempt, James does not respect you. We're all doomed. Respect is extremely overvalued, says James. How's it going, Pull Father? Nice to see you. Realizing Dan is that unemployed uncle who's educated in every subject. I could have gone pro vibes. Oh man, that's funny. No, I at 6'4", I have the height to have done something great athletically, and I never did. I'll blame my parents. Obviously, I'm a victim. I actually skipped a grade early in grade school, and I never really thought about it, but like there's multiple studies out there about how most pro athletes are born, early in the year, I think, because they're like 6 months to 9 months older than the most of their cohort from the same year. So they're excelling in sports because they're just further along in growth. But I was always like a year behind my classmates. So I'm going to blame it on that. If it wasn't for me skipping first grade, I probably would be in the NFL, probably. But realistically not. I was very happy to skip a grade, to have 8% less K-12 than everyone else. But I need to wrap up very, very soon. I do have a call at 11, so can you put all your Scarlet and Violet booster boxes in a bathroom and make a video? Rudy probably will make another one at some point, but I think he is beyond bathroom now. He's just warehouses only. What's the hypothetical best case for serialized Pokemon? Parallels, degree of rarity, etc. I would love to see it. I think we will on a long enough timeline. Sports got there. It's doing things for sports. I need to look back. I don't know how I would find it, but I guess I could look at a picture of my high school graduation and see how tall I was with respect to my dad. I think I graduated high school at less than 5'11", and by the end of my freshman year, so what would have been the end of my senior year, I was 6'4". I grew like in a 1 year span from from graduating high school to done with my freshman year of college. I grew like 5 inches. It was crazy. So that was like from when I was 17 to when I was 18. But I very likely would not have made the majors anyways. James, if I can't have your respect, can I have your blue coat? More time goes on, the more I realize Dan is just a real life Homer Simpson. James enjoyed that one. Let's see. So, yeah, I think I'm done. I'm fully caught up. I need to go. I need to take a quick bathroom break before my call. As I said at the outset of the video, I am buying all your raw liquid cards at 80% plus. I am buying all your modern sealed, vintage sealed too. I mean, I don't think anyone is selling base set boxes at 80%, 90%, but I will buy Fossil, Jungle, First Edition. I will buy Base Unlimited. I will buy Rocket First Edition at 90% of recent sold. So I am buying boxes of all eras. Skyridge Legendary Collection, probably not ones for me. I would probably connect you with someone who's a better buyer for you on those. But I will buy WotC. I will buy modern boxes, ideally by the case at 80+%. I will buy slabs, high-end slabs, 250 plus, 80+%. So yeah, that's what I've got for tonight. I appreciate everyone hanging out. I will catch you all later.